just ran the Sunshine Coast Half Marathon just a few days ago, which you would have already seen if you've watched the race day vlog, which I've just posted on YouTube. So if you haven't seen that, make sure you go check that out. It was a pretty shaky taper week, and I also tried some new protocols. Risky, I know. Nothing new on race day, but these new protocols, they were actually, I guess you could say, on the more sensible side, and I guess you could say that they worked. The official time was 1 hour 17:46 seconds, which is a 50-second PB, which you can probably guess I'm pretty chuffed about. My goal going into the race was 1 hour 17 low, so getting 1 hour 17 high, I'm still pretty stoked with, considering that the course wasn't the flattest course out there, and of course I was a little bit sick at the start of the week. I also just wanted to shout out Dan from Document Media, who sent a fair bit of footage across. He was at the event shooting his mate Khan from the Hardy crew. He ran the full marathon, and he actually ran 2:50 for the full marathon on that course, which is really impressive in itself. So shout out to Dan, and also shout out to Khan for running such a great race. So the day started off early as usual. I got up at around, I think I got up at 3:30 for this one. We were staying at my friend's house in Caboolture, which is about 40 minutes away from the event. So we had to get up with ample time to get fuel, to get in the car, and then get to the event. Once I was at the event, it was still dark. I met up with Tommy, I met up with Mark and a couple of the other boys, and we decided to go for our warm-up. So I spoke about this a little bit in the race day vlog, but I'll touch on it again today. So some of the new protocols that I was introducing to my pre-race warm-up was I wanted to touch on all energy systems in the warm-up. So the idea was to go for 1 kilometer easy and then run about 500 meters to 1 kilometer at threshold pace, then 500 meters at goal race pace, and then some strides at the end. So basically we're just ticking through the gears and just touching on all the different energy systems. And then the idea behind that, in my own words, I couldn't really relay this in the scientific way that I've heard others speak about it, like people like Matt Hansen. He's the threshold king. If you want to look him up, he explains this really well. And another person that's where I got the idea from was Mads, who is the coach of Victor Smangs, who's the coach of Ben is Running, who I watched the video, and all that threshold training stuff just really, really interests me. So I want to start implementing that stuff into my own training, and a warm-up is definitely where I'm lacking. So I wanted to sort of critique my warm-up a lot more, take it more seriously, because if I'm going to be racing at a higher level, I'm going to have to be warming up at a higher level. So basically, in my own terms, the reason that I wanted to touch on the threshold stuff is so that my blood lactate isn't spiking from the start of the race. Basically, the best way I can explain it is, when you're doing a session, say you're doing K reps or whatever it is, and that first rep is always the hardest, and then that second rep, you feel like you're warmed into it and you feel much better, much more ready to go. So basically, I didn't want to start my race as the first rep. I wanted to start my race as the second rep. So that way I was primed and ready to kick ass and run a PB. Well, I only did about a 2.5K warm up. Ideally, I would want that to be longer and probably closer to the 4K. But I didn't want to push it too much just because it's something new that I haven't done before. And yeah, nothing new on race day, but I think it was sensible. And to be honest, I think I felt really good. But this time, because I did a little bit more in the warm-up, I wanted to just restock the glycogen stores, and I decided to have a caffeine gel to just really feel good at the start of this race and hopefully set the tone for the rest of the race, which I think it definitely did. But yeah, it's going to be something that I'm going to have to critique over time and just figure out what works best for me. But yeah, this threshold stuff, it ain't no joke, and I'm keen to dive a fair bit deeper into that, especially for my prep leading into the Melbourne Marathon. So now I'm on the start line, I'm ready to rumble, I've had my caffeine gel, and it's go time. So another thing that is different about my race this time is I actually went in with a bit of a game plan. So usually I'll just run these races, they all sort of go the same way. I run out too hot out the gates and I struggle. I hold on for dear life and then just really try to kick it home strong in the last K or two. This time I didn't want to absolutely punish my way through the entire race, and I wanted to run it a little bit different. So the plan was, the first 7K of the marathon is very undulating, so it's very up and down. There's actually a couple of decent hills, one being the Alex Heads Hill, which is pretty decent. So my idea for this race was I wanted to stay conservative for at least those first 7K until we got to the flat, and then reassess and see how I'm feeling and hopefully pick up the pace. At the very least, I wanted to negative split the second half of the marathon. The first 7Ks went exactly how I planned. I was trying to play conservative, and yeah, I think my heart rate being in the mid 170s definitely shows that I was staying conservative, and I was thinking about the future Dave for the start of this race. So I'm really proud of how I started this race. I will go through some of the splits, but let it be known that my watch actually ran 100 meters or 150 meters over. So all of these splits that I'm showing you now on my Strava, the actual splits are a little bit slower. So these ones are a little bit faster just because I was hitting Ks early. So I actually thought I was on for more of a PB than I was, but whatever. So we started the race at 3:38. So always gonna start a little bit hot, but felt like I composed it a bit more. That big hill that I was talking about, that's pretty much at the very start. So we ran a 3:44, 3:38, 3:43, 3:39, 3:48, and then the 7th K is 3:38. So that 7th K is where the hills were no more. So I just went from flats all the way out to Mooloolaba and back to the finish line for now. So you can see that the elevation on the 6K is plus 21, and then the 7th K is minus 19. So yeah, decent. I mean, it's not the Paris Olympics or anything like that, in no way, but it was enough to throw a bit of spice on the legs, especially when, if you guys have ever run a half marathon, it's not comfortable at all. It's tough. It's dancing along the lines of, 10 seconds faster than your threshold, in my opinion. So yeah, it was still a tough effort, but I felt like I was composed. I was pretty composed. And Michaela even said when I ran past that I was looking good. I usually, when I'm running past, like in the last few races, I've ran past her and it hasn't been good. So that was a good sign. And the heart rate was staying pretty good. When I got to the 9th K, it spiked up to 180, but then it sort of went into the mid 170s, which is pretty much where my heart rate will sit at a decent effort, I think. Then the next few Ks, we've got 340, 338, 339, 337. So we were definitely picking it up towards that halfway. So throughout the course, it was quite windy. And I think the kilometers 10, 11, 12, 13, those ones were not as windy. But I will say that when we got to about 15 Ks is when we hit the last turnaround. And then it was 6 Ks straight back to the finish line. There was wind the entire time. I tried my very best to get behind a bloke, but there was probably about a group of 3 of us at this stage. We were sort of working together. I will admit I was trying to hide behind them as much as I could, but there were times when those guys would grab water and I would keep going, and then they would end up behind me, and then I'm stuck. So I did lead a fair bit of Ks. Especially probably took turns leading up until about the 19th K. From the 19th K, I only had a couple of Ks to go, and I did feel like I had a fair bit more in me at this stage. So I decided to turn on the gas. I thought I was turning on the gas. Looking at the splits here, the 19th K, 337. So definitely turns it on a little bit more there. 338, 337, and then I finished with 322 for like a final sprint finish for that last 100 meters or so. I will note that the 20th K, which is the 338 split, and it says my heart rate is 180. So that's actually the highest it was in the race. The reason for that is we were running down a street that felt like a literal wind tunnel. So I was out there on my own because I kicked and pretty much left the group behind me. At this stage, I was trying to pick off this girl that was like 50 meters ahead of me. And I was just running straight into the wind, just trying to beast mode and just pin the ears back and just go for it, just hold on for dear life. So the effort level was probably increased by at least 5% there, but the pace didn't change. So at least 5-10%, the pace didn't change. But I'm really happy with how I was able to hold pace, and I think I even picked it up a little bit, even if it was 1 second per K split. I still managed to pick it up. By the way, I did catch that girl on the home straight, which felt pretty good. It's always like a nice feeling when there's people that have been in front of you the entire race and you manage to creep up to them, you're hunting them down, and then you manage to pass them and finish in front of them. One bloke, Taz, sorry mate, got you in the end there. He's a legend. He was probably about 50 meters ahead of me the entire race, and then I just hunted him down by the end. I think I passed him about the 20th K. I had the legs, he didn't have the legs to keep on, so he finished with an unreal time. I think it was like 1:18:10. So good work to that bloke. Managed to get a pretty good sprint finish home. But yeah, that is pretty much the race, guys. Really happy with the 50-second PB. Like, I felt like I really needed a win after having some pretty dreadful last couple of races. DNFing at Noosa, that Hilly half marathon, which was short. And I had a shit run then as well. So it was really good to actually get one on the board. Haven't PB'd in the half marathon since last Sunny Coast. So yeah, have got a pretty good strike record there now. So yeah, happy as Larry, guys. I thought I would also take this opportunity to run you guys through just a little bit about what I've got on for the next, well, pretty much, yeah, for the next couple of months. You guys already know that I've got the Melbourne Marathon coming up on the 15th of October, but I do actually have a handful of events leading up to that that I'm super excited to, one, race, two, film and show you guys. Yeah, it's going to be some really, really good weeks of like race day vlogs coming up in the next 2 months. So firstly, I've got the beer mile. If you guys remember the beer mile world championships that I filmed last year, it's back. I've got a new team, and yeah, we're hungry, thirsty for a win. That's on the 24th of August. So I'll be doing a race day vlog for that. That one should be a bit of fun. Then next I have Bridge to Brisbane, which is a 10K race in Brizzy. And yeah, I'm really hungry to get a 10K PB. I'm actually running that one for the Run Clinic, who's been helping me out with my forefoot issues, and also helping me out with some S&C as well. I've actually just jumped on board with them as a Run Clinic athlete. They're going to be supporting me through like podiatry, physio, and yeah, I'm joining their team for some races. Also have some like lactate testing and VO2 max testing that I'm going to be doing with them in the coming weeks, which I'll be vlogging, and just I'm really looking forward to just building my own knowledge around the threshold training, and like actually getting a better idea of my zones so I can train accordingly. Right now, I kind of feel like I'm just throwing workouts at the wall, hoping that they stick. So it'd be good to get some direction, and hopefully that's the level up in my training that I need to push forward and yeah, just keep pushing the needle forward and improve. But next, so that's on the 8th of September. Then the following week, I have the Sydney Marathon, which I'm running with Before You Speak Coffee, which is one of my other sponsors. I'm a Before You Speak Coffee athlete. They're actually one of the sponsors for the Sydney Marathon, and they're flying me down there. It's going to be a really fun, epic weekend. There's going to be a shakeout. I'm going to be vlogging the entire weekend. I'm still undecided how I'm going to run the Sydney Marathon. Ideally, I want to treat it as a training run for Melbourne. So we might see a 2 or 3 by 10K workout done in Sydney Marathon. And you heard it here first. I don't want to jinx myself, but I'm thinking there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to run sub 3. But we'll see. Take that with a pinch of salt. Just throwing it out there. So yeah, that's on the 15th of September. And then yeah, we've got the big dance. We've got the Melbourne Marathon coming up on the 13th of October. I am going to be bringing back the marathon series. I'm still trying to think of a name for the series, but I'm going to be bringing that back next week. Yeah, should be some really informative content all about the marathon, all about my journey, my workouts. I'm going to be bringing back the training diaries as well, so you can expect double weekly uploads about all of that. I'm going to get the videographer out for some workouts as well, work with Dan, hopefully do a video with Tommy Newell as well, and yeah, all of it just gets me super excited to just keep making content and just bring in the good vibes and hopefully bring in a couple of smiles to a couple of faces while they're watching it. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for this video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like it and subscribe so you don't miss any of my future race day vlogs. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little recap, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.